All right, now let's get into the good stuff, the stuff that you came here for. Learn how to do something cool. So we're going to go to a different server here. As you can see, this is our practicing server. You can see multiple trades here that we hit. There's a 1 to 43. I want to break this one down for you and how we took it and why we took it, and I want to show you here exactly what it's like to take a trade like this. So obviously, looking at this, you can't tell what we're looking at. So we have to get down to the lower time frames. As you can see here, we have our sessions marked up here. We're still out of session, but we'll go up one candle. We did just go into replay mode, so that is here. Okay, this is a demand zone. Let's go down to our 30-minute, 15-minute. Say we do see a supply zone created here. We do have a demand zone that is also created. And then a big factor for me on these lower time frames are our 1 minute EMAs, our 3-minute EMAs, and our 5-minute EMAs. When we're going through this, I want you to notice one thing that we have in common, and that is how they move. Okay, so as you can see here, I want to show you here right now, we have an inducement. What is an inducement? Where a candle hits a stop, creates a wick bigger than the previous wick on this engulfing. This wick is obviously bigger, and then pushes up to create a BOS. What is a BOS? It's the same thing as a shift of structure, but it's from, instead of candlestick to candlestick, it is wick to candlestick. So this is your BOS here, like this, and then this is your inducement here. Let's get that here. See how this, once again, you see how this wick here is outwicked this wick, and this, this candlestick here came down, this came down, and then proceeded to make a BOS. This is called an inducement, and that's your BOS to confirm it. So in this position, we're looking for what is called a two-leg check. What is a two-leg check? It's when basically price is coming down like this, right? Creates that inducement like this. Okay, now we have our inducement candle, whatever, here, where the wick just comes down just a little bit like that, right? And then creates the BOS. So now let me draw, yeah, let me just draw a wick right there for you so you get the picture. So now we have our BOS here like this. This is your BOS, which is, remember, candle wick to candlestick. And then price created a higher high and a higher low and an inducement here. So now you're like, what's a two-leg check? Okay, so here's one leg, pullbacks, retests, or gets at least pulls back a little bit like this. It doesn't have to retest it, but it pulls back just enough where you can see, okay, that's a definite pullback. And then price creates that second leg where it pushes up here, higher high, higher low, and then comes all the way back and grabs this liquidity from this BOS and wicks into the BOS and then heads to the upside. So this is your candlestick. It closes here, right? Your candlestick closes here, but you have a wick. You have a pending order set at that BOS, and you have a wick that just comes down, slaps that pending order, and then pushes. So that is what a two-leg check is. BOS, two legs, retest the BOS, and on the inducement to the long position. So as you can see here, we're already setting up for the potential BOS. So we keep playing. See, you see how this one pulled so far back, right? Did not give entry. Okay, now we're looking. Okay, boom, there's your second leg. As you can see here, here's your pullback. Here's your engulfing candle. Here's your inducement candle. Here's your BOS, right? There's your one leg. Now we're coming back. You could, if you wanted to, you can count this as your second leg and pull back and taking it right here, right? You see that? You could have done that. But here's the biggest but of this whole thing. It is not in session. You have to wait for session. So what time is it? Session is at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is when our session starts. Okay, so we're still waiting, still waiting. Boom, session's in. Not yet. My bad. Boom, there's session. Okay, if you would have gotten in this right here, out of session, what would have happened? Your stops would have been here. and you would have been liquidated and you would have been done. Granted, you would have gotten a 1 to 3 on this beautiful, perfect retest. So if you wanted to take this trade out of session, that is a proven, I proved it right here that this is a beautiful 1 to 3, one leg, two leg, retest the BOS, stops are below here, and then you got a 1 to 3 out of it. But like I said, out of session. So let's move on. What do we have here? What is setting up exactly again? A two-leg check. Okay. So here is your inducement. Here's your BOS. So now this one does look a little different than this one, right? This candlestick is here, and then that candlestick's there. This candlestick's here, and that candlestick's here. But what do they have in common? They have a BOS. BOS like that. Okay, so now your inducement is here. Your engulfing's here. Okay, now let's fast forward. Price pushed up. There's your one leg check is here, one leg, two leg. And now we wait for the pullback. See if it gives it to us. No pullback. Okay, so now let's see, how did we find this on that time? That was a 3 minute. Let's go to our 1 minute. And this is where it gets tricky, and this is where you start really playing with very fast moving markets. So now you can see exactly how we got into this trade. But you can see here is your inducement. And I wanted to show you that on the 5 minute because it looks completely different than the 1 minute. So now let's start all over again on the 1 minute. I'm going to hit the replay here so we can see it step by step again. And that's how we play. We play the 1 minute and the 3 minute. And that's how we get all of our trades. So once again, what do you see here? Here's your BOS. Here's your inducement. And now what is that? That looks a lot better, doesn't it? It looks exactly the same as this one here. See that? See that? And that is that signal right here on the 5 minute. I didn't say it the first time around, but that's the signal that you have to look down to a lower time frame when you're like, okay, BOS inducement candle here, but then that next candle wicks down. That means there's something going on the lower time frames, and that is a huge, huge signal for you to jump down to the lower time frames, which is a little bit more advanced. But once you start seeing the patterns and the consistency, you start noticing those little things. So once again, we have a BOS. Another thing, we also have equal highs here, which is a very, very strong sign that we need to come back and retouch. So here we are. We got the pullback. We got the inducement. We got the first leg getting created. We are now officially in session. It's 3 o'clock, 3:03. Okay. 1 minute at a time. You're watching this. Okay. Boom. There's your first pullback. Retouched the BOS perfectly. You see that? Now we're on the next pullback. And also, what I want you to do is I want you to keep watching our EMAs as well. It's another huge indicator. Okay, there's your second pullback. Yes, this dug deep. This dug deep. But this is a confirmed entry. So you have your pending order here. You're sitting at the BOS right there. You dig deep, a little bit deep, but your stop is always below the inducement candle on these two leg checks. And now we're in this trade and we're watching. And a huge indicator for us to hold these trades long is our EMAs. And if you've been around for a while, you'll notice that I talk about the EMAs a lot. Okay, I'm actually going to bring this, grab our TP and bring it all the way down to here so you can actually see what it kind of looks like live action trading and get the feeling of it. Okay, so automatically right here, this is a 1 to 3. You already got that 1 to 3 so fast. Okay, so at this point, you're taking partials and you're letting it ride. Let's go back to the 1 minute again. Partials, and you're at break even. So price is coming, and right here is what I want you to look at right here. What just happened here is the EMAs crossed. Price Also, another huge thing that I've started to notice as the more I've done this is when price does a pullback on top of an EMA cross, even though the EMA is crossed later on when price is way up here, but that's also a very strong indicator that this was a huge strong push. So, okay, EMAs are crossed. Beautiful. Now let's go to the 3 minute. Okay, our 50 EMA is pulling up. It's looking like this is 50 and our 100 are gonna cross. It's looking good, looking promising. Okay, we got to cross. Okay, that's beautiful. Price came back, retested these highs here. Okay, we can continue to hold. We can continue to hold. Now we're watching our higher time frames, like our 3 minute, because obviously the EMAs have crossed on the 1 minute and they're spreading out. So now we're watching our 3 minute. We're bouncing between our 3 minutes and our 5 minute. 5 minutes crossing our 200 or 100 EMA as well. The blue one is our 200. Okay, beautiful. Now we have a full cross on our 5 minute EMA. So now we're all the way up here and we're just letting partials run. We wait and we wait and we wait. You sleep on it. You sleep on it. Let's go to our 10 minute. The 10 minutes crossed yet. 10 minute is crossed. Only gosh. Okay, we got a lot of bullish momentum. Bullish momentum. We start looking. Now we're shooting. Now we're starting to get huge moves. Okay, huge moves. Market's doing some crazy stuff. Let's go back and look what our lower time frames are doing. As you can see, our EMAs are starting to cross again. And at this point, you either close out or you let it ride. And at this point, for practice purposes, we let it ride. And as you can see, price just continued to hop and push and hop and push. Our 15-minute crossed at that little point. Remember that we go back here to our 3 minute where that little pullback was on our 3 minute and our 1 minute. And I said, wow, you can notice how strong that little cross was here. Look where your 15-minute also crossed on this. Where'd it go? There it is. Our 15-minute crossed on that pullback as well. So that's another indicator that we can look for the higher time frames and keep riding. Our 30 minutes is officially crossing and price just kept going and we rode it all the way up to this 4-hour area of interest. So I know that was a lot. Like I said, we started on the 5 minutes and I showed you how you can miss it on the 5 minutes by not noticing certain candles, certain patterns, and certain different types of trades. You know, how this candle, how this inducement candle looked a little bit different from this inducement candle. You saw this two-leg check create a beautiful 1 to 3 instantly right off the bat, out of session. And then you see, okay, this is an inducing candle 2 with the BOS. But if you would have watched on the 5 minute, you would have missed this trade with this huge pullback wick into an engulfing candle. It's an indicator. Okay, let's go to our lower time frames and see if we can get into this. You could also have called this entry on the 3 minutes off of this candle here as well. After you saw this 1 push, 2 push, you could have entered on this candlestick here, and obviously your price would have been there. So that is a quick little breakdown on a 2-leg check and how certain candles with can change how it looks on 5 minutes between the 1 minute and 3 minute. Obviously, it's different time frames. They all look different. But that is our main structure on how we find our long-term swings, or even off with the smallest stop loss is called a 2-leg check. Price comes back like this, creates a lower low, has a BOS, comes back, retest, pushes, creates that second leg, retests again, and then we take long. And then on the same side, on the upside for the sells, it's the same thing, but reversed. We've also noticed that gold, sorry, for the sells, we look for supply zones. What is supply zone here? We got one here. Let's fast track this to that sell. Here, wait for session. So sells on gold. This is a beautiful setup right here, actually, on the 5 minute. I'm just going to break this down. It shows you exactly what we look for here. So as you can see here, what is this? This is an inducement candlestick here. Here's an engulfing. Here's your BOS, right? Once again, let me draw it out here. This is also a supply zone on this engulfing candle, or not in this engulfing, this doji, I mean, on top of your inducement. and then your BOS here, like this. There's your BOS. Okay, now this is your engulfing candle. Here's your push. And then what we've noticed with probably 10,000 hours of back testing, hours and hours every single day, where price has a fairly close pullback to this BOS on gold for the sells. It's always on the sells. On buys, it's always a two-leg check for buys. And for sells, it's always this setup right here. Inducement, engulfing, BOS, retouch, sell. So on this scenario, if you would have got in, say this doji closed and you got in right when that doji closed, your stops would probably be about here, give or take. And you'd be shooting for a 1 to 2 or whatever. But on this scenario, yes, it's a bit aggressive. But usually you want to wait for that pullback to about here. So then obviously your trade is not so crazy. Your stop's not so crazy big. But let's see what happens if we got in there. Like I said, I don't know what happens here. Price looks like it could pull back. You're still holding. Okay, now there's your retest of your BOS. See how that happened? The only downfall is we wouldn't have got in this trade because why? It's out of session. So that's the hardest part about this strategy. You have to wait for session. Now, if you would have taken this trade out of session, this is what would have happened to you. You would have gotten, obviously, a 1 to 7, but it's same exact setup I just said. Inducement, engulfing, BOS, push, right? It could be even a two-leg check here. One leg, right? Two leg, pulled all the way back to your BOS again. There's your two-leg check, and then sold. We just don't take these trades like this because they're out of session. But example again, two-leg check, 1, 2, pulled back, retest the BOS, and then sell. So this should be an in-session trade. Okay, yep, this is an in-session trade because this is an inducement here. And then fine-tune to the 1 minute. You can see here's your 1 minute supply zone, came in, retouched, and sell. So those are what I have for you today. Just quick two-leg example and supply, BOS, retouch, sell position on gold. And those are the top things that we look for as we trade gold. And so far we have like a 97% win rate. If you risk 1% every time you take a trade, we have won 8 out of 10 trades, 9 out of 10 trades, and we have been crushing it inside the Discord.